So- All right. So I was interviewed today at a local gym. The gym is called Race Boot Camp. And what was I going to share about? It's a little more on the talk of being vulnerable. It's a little more on the talk of that because we were selected. I think we were selected because we go like almost every day. I go almost every day, and then my partner goes uh it's like 3 4 times a week with me, usually like close to the weekends. But we were selected to interview for some of their social media stuff. I haven't seen the video yet, but we go in today. We were actually a little bit late. We go in, and there's a whole cast of video people, videographers, video people. I don't know what they're called. I don't know how they address their technical names, but the team to do the interview. And I've done maybe one or two interviews like this before where it's kind of just on the spot. Some of them have been a what's it called? Some of them have been with just a phone. Let me just adjust this. This is bothering me. There we go. That's better. Some of them have been with just a phone. So it's just some person with a phone. They do a recording. I'm talking to someone here. They have the phone over here. They just record really quick, kind of informal. I've also done some where they have someone with a like Nikon or a Canon professional video camera recording me talking to someone. This was a little bit different. They had, what am I blanking on? They had a whole crew. They had a whole crew of people. There was like 5 or 6 people, right? And they all had uniforms, very professional. We go upstairs and I see professional, like the big lighting equipment, the multi lights on a stand. There's like people everywhere, cords, all this stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, this is like a big interview. This is like they did all the way. I'm sure you could go farther if you really wanted to in the like audio engineering and stuff, but it was pretty cool. So we go in, where the room that we're set up in is very dark because it was at a gym. This is one of those gyms where most of the exercise, it's like a 45 to 50-minute high intensity interval training style workout. You're in a gym that is dark. So the room, there's like mirrors all across one wall. There's red lighting, but it's very dark in general, kind of like an ambient theme. Super loud music when you're playing, working out though. It kind of feels like you're playing, which is why I say that. But that's the gym. So in general, you work out in darkness. Like there's light, but it's low light atmosphere, and the lights are red. So it's really cool. It's like you, and it's in there. It's badass. It's like you versus yourself, and you can really get into that zone. Well, that's where we did the interview. So low lighting for the interview, except for their bright ass like mood lighting, stage lighting. I don't know what they call it, but that super bright stuff. And it was me and my partner sitting down, and then we were talking to this dude doing the asking the questions like over here, and we had a camera over here. And in the beginning, when they turned on the stage lighting, the mood lighting, it was like right in our face. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, we're gonna do this interview. I'm gonna have to not be there the whole time like this because these lights are super bright and bright in my eyes. So I was getting kind of nervous a little bit. But I remembered one of the biggest things that I learned about speaking to people or speaking in front of a camera. So I'm still learning actually because I'm speaking to this camera here to speak to you guys. And what I'm learning is the whole like being vulnerable. I said it on a previous episode, but just being you, or in my case, just being me, is the most. If you were going to, I was actually be in an interview space, like I was in an interview space, the best way to be, if you want to, it's not about being memorable. Like, it's not to achieve anything. Just in general, the best way to be, as I've discovered through live exercise and actual training, is to just be you. Like, take the filters off. And that's what I was telling people. So, well, I was telling them, but I'm going to get to that. So we do the interview. They actually move the big light to like the side so it wasn't blinding me anymore. And I'm talking with my partner, and we're getting to a point where the interview is going to start soon. And I know I was listening to a Diary of a CEO podcast, and he interviewed, I forgot the guy's name, but this dude was really good at being charismatic and engaging, which is why I watched that episode. Of course, I don't remember the guy's name, ironically. But in that episode, he talked about when you go to an interview, and I think this is an amazing strategy, and I find it true. Never knew uh, Never knew about it fully until watching the episode. But the strategy is everything you do up until the interview is warm up. Everybody you talk to, you say hi to the person at the. This is the guy. I'm paraphrasing what the guy on the podcast said on Diary of a CEO, but he was saying everything is a warm up. Everything is an exercise. So when you say hi to the person at the desk, you're warming up your speaking skills. When you wave at the security guards, when you talk to the Uber driver, all of that is getting you warmed up to be in an interview space and be in conversation. And I just was like, cool. So if I'm going to have an interview, talk to everyone, talk to my partner, talk to the people at the front desk, they have a little smoothie booth next to the entrance, talk to the people at the smoothie booth, all of it. Just talk, get all of the weirdness and the stiffness out of my body. So we're setting up, back to the interview. We're sitting down on the little bench and the camera's over there, the interview guy's there. They're telling us, hey, when we do the interview, don't look at the camera over here. Like, just look at us or look at me, and just don't look at the camera. They also say we want you to keep the conversation going. They were looking for flow, because here's what I got from what they were saying. They wanted to do a natural. Let me adjust myself. They wanted to do a natural conversation. They wanted to record it and have it feel organic, right? They didn't want to, what was the words? They didn't want it to be scripted. They didn't want it to be robotic. They showed us like a little, hey, here's the questions we're going to ask you, but they were just saying, just keep the conversation flowing and try not to look at the camera. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. So this all supports what I learned, which is take the filters off. Because I used to think that to be in front of a camera specifically, I got to put on a filter. I have to be a character. Like, if I want to be charismatic, if I want to be expressive, even having the thought, I'm going to be extra expressive. Having the thought of that takes energy away from me being present to what's happening. So it's kind of the way I visualize it is like, you're limiting your brain power in the moment because you're trying to, okay, well, let me talk about me, right? Because this is my thing. The way I view it is, in the moment, I can't be present with what's happening if I'm focusing on running a parallel process, like multitasking, which humans can't technically truly do. If I'm trying to multitask and monitor, assess, grade my own expression while trying to have a conversation, it's actually really difficult. Now, mind you, long story short, from the, see, can I share? I have a lot of experience trying to do that exact thing, monitoring everything I do and assessing it while simultaneously being with someone. It comes from living in a household when I was a kid where I did not want, like, I wanted to be invisible. I wanted to not wake sleeping parents who were drunk because if they woke up, it meant problems for me. It meant anger. It meant dealing with whatever comes with their rage, which was, I guess, just what happened when they got drunk. So I would tiptoe around the house. I watched my foot movement so that basically I learned how to walk silently. I learned how to do everything around the house without making any noise, like at all. And I also was trained and conditioned subconsciously to monitor my own expression. Combine this with like bullying and just some other traumas led to I conditioned myself to always monitor my own expression. And that's body posture, body language, tone, like everything. And so from the age of, I don't know, 7 to like, I don't think 7, I think it was like 9 to 22 years old, I would say. Like I was like always watching everything I was doing in the background of whatever conversations I was having, and while having other running dialogues from the default mode network, basically the automatic who am I, the automatic identity, right? So all of this is happening in the background. I grew up with that level of practice, which I would say is a lot of practice. I'm not saying I'm the best at it in the whole world or anything. I'm sure there's other people who are highly skilled more so than me. Actors exist for a reason. What I'm saying though is even with all of that training, which when you're training as a child for perceivably your own survival, you really put everything you have. Your brain puts everything it has, conscious and subconscious, to make the thing happen. Well, even with all of that, my experience of trying to have a conversation and be present with someone in the space of an interview while simultaneously running the process of self-analyzing, critiquing, correcting, adjusting my own expression, I found that it takes up enough brain power to pull me out of being present. And I would rather just be present. Now, there's a bigger discovery there too. The bigger discovery was that little bit of brain power where I'm pulled out to be, focused on analyzing myself. That little bit of brain power, the other person can actually pick up on that. And their subconscious will know something is off about, in the case of what I'm talking about, from their perspective, me. Something was off about me. I began to notice that every time I tried to self-analyze, they would not connect with me as powerfully as when I was vulnerable. But it really hit the apex when I was in a training program that grilled us on leading video conferences. And every conference that I led where I tried to self-analyze and be a certain way, even a little bit, I got the feedback that it was not very good. And every time that I just said like, okay, well, I keep trying this, I keep trying being expressive, I keep trying being loud, I keep trying to be charming, and nothing is working. So I'm just not going to try anything. I'm just going to show up and be me. And then I got the feedback, oh, that was amazing. You were awesome. You were so present. You were so magnetic and blah, blah, blah. So that really sealed the deal for me. Take the filter off. That's where I learned, really solidified the lesson. If I'm going to go be on camera, if I'm going to go do something, actually the best move is to take the filter off and then go be on camera, which is why for a lot of these episodes, for example, I don't do rehearsal. I don't write a script. In fact, I was actually advised not to write a script because then it makes it too robotic, too fake, I guess. Anyways, that's what I learned. So for this interview, back to the interview, as we're about to start, they got all this stuff going on. I do get a little nervous and I'm noticing it. My partner, same thing. She was saying she was nervous too. And I'm like, the biggest thing, and I shared with her this too, the biggest thing is to just be you. Take the filter off. I was like, that's the best thing we can do. If we want to make this a powerful video if we want to make this memorable, the best shot is to take the filter off. And it makes no sense because growing up, most of us, right? Like some people, I guess, don't have this, but most of us grow up with put the filter on, put the makeup on, gotta look pretty, gotta put up all the guards, gotta hide all the bad things about me. And now, in my experience, I found hiding those things also makes it harder for people to trust you, also makes it harder for people to relate with you, also makes it harder for people to connect or watch you. But when you take those off, that's when you become magnetic. So I had an interview. We did the interview and we kept the conversation flowing the whole time. We were actually able to kind of just be in conversation with ourselves. Really the only cue point that I was thinking of was look at partner or look at person, because partner was next to me. So look at partner, eye contact, or look at person asking the interview questions. And that was kind of the only thing that I had to keep track of. There was still like the how am I sitting? Are my shoulders slouched? Do I look, how do I look? There was still that stuff running. It's not like it just shut off and went away, but every time it came up, I was meeting it with, hey, that's I don't need to worry about that. What is my partner saying? What is the guy saying? And when they would ask questions, for example, like, what do you find? What is the energy level like coming to this gym? Was one of the interview questions. And I found myself, how's my posture? What do I look like? Blah, blah, blah. And I caught myself and I went, what? Well, actually, me, what is the experience like? What does it feel like to come here? And I thought about it. The energy, okay, the energy is pretty high. Like it's just high energy. Why do I like coming here? Why do I like coming here? What would I say if I was talking to just a friend? Well, I like coming here because high energy, lots of like loud EDM music, and it really helps drive me to want to push myself. And that's pretty much what I said exactly. That's what came out versus me what I would wanted to do with those how do I look basically running in the background. What I wanted to do was say, uh well, actually, I don't even remember what I wanted to say, but what I wanted to do was analyze everything first and then create a character and then express the character. But I was like, no, don't worry about any of that. Just go be. What? And then that's when I just took it on, and that's when I was present. Now, after the interview, we were we both got feedback that we were amazing. They loved how we kept the conversation going, and I've gotten, I think there was at least 3 times that different people gave the critique in my direction that it was perfect. One of them said, it's like I was made for this. And I took that as a big compliment, but mind you, there's also lots of training I've had in this kind of thing. And I'm doing these podcast episodes, right? So like I'm constantly in that arena, training myself, training and developing myself for real. At the same time, though, I credit most of that, if not all of it. Yes, the training helps with good practice. Ultimately, though, it all comes back to taking the filter off. That's actually my training. My training now is to take the filter off and then go be with people. And also, what I find in that is it takes self love. It really does. Like you have to, I don't want to say you have to. I'm learning that there's an element of loving myself speaking, loving myself expressing. When I was 16, I would judge everything. Voice doesn't sound deep enough. Words don't sound clearly pronounced. Ironically, today, so many people were telling me that I pronounce my words in a really well spoken, crisp, I don't think enunciated was the word, but everything is pronounced clearly. I got that feedback multiple times today. And I still have that critique of myself that sometimes it sounds like I slur my words. And I'm like actively trying not to. Um, but, anyways, all of this to say, if you're going to take anything away from this episode, take the filter off. take the filter off, and just be you. And that's going to be it for this episode.